You become what you demand of yourself, not what you hope for. Not what you casually wish for when the night is quiet and your heart aches for more. You become the very standard you set for your own life, the non-negotiable command you whisper or shout into the depths of your soul. Most people never understand this law. They drift like leaves on the current of life, begging for mercy from circumstances, hoping the winds of fortune will carry them to some distant shore of success. But the truth, the eternal truth that has guided every empire, every invention, every monumental achievement since the dawn of man, is that destiny does not answer to wishes. It answers to demands. Think of Edison, working through 1,000 failures in the dimly lit laboratory, his clothes stained, his eyes heavy with exhaustion. Did he politely request the light bulb from life? Did he softly hope it would one day appear? No. He demanded it. He wrestled with reality itself until it surrendered, until the spark of persistence ignited a revolution of light. Think of Lincoln, born in a log cabin, poor, self-educated, scarred by defeat after defeat in politics. Did he wait for the world to grant him dignity? Did he wait for approval, for favorable odds? No. He demanded that his life means something greater, that his failures forge him into iron. And when the nation fractured at its seams, when darkness threatened to consume the republic, it was this demand that made him stand taller than the storm. History does not remember the timid. It remembers those who set a fire within themselves so powerful that the world itself bent under the heat of their conviction. And so I ask you, what are you demanding of yourself? Because whether you know it or not, you are already living out the answer. If you demand little, life will give you scraps. If you demand much, life will test you, break you, and remake you. But in that furnace, you will emerge as something greater than you ever imagined. Demand is the birthplace of transformation. But it begins in the mind. Every empire, every invention, every fortune began as nothing but a thought, a seed planted in the rich soil of imagination. Napoleon Hill taught that thoughts are things, living, breathing forces that shape the invisible before they sculpt the visible. Thoughts are things, then your demands are commands, written orders to the universe itself. Picture the mind like a workshop. Within it, every image you hold, every word you speak, every belief you rehearse is material placed upon the workbench. If you scatter doubt and fear across it, you build nothing but weakness. But if you lay down clarity, if you hammer discipline, if you weld vision and faith together, you forge destiny. The tragedy is not that people aim too high and miss. The tragedy is that they aim too low and hit. They accept mediocrity because mediocrity is safe, it is comfortable, it requires no fire, no demand. And in doing so, they betray themselves. They lock away the greatness that was meant to roar like a lion and instead let it wither like a whisper in the wind. But you were not built for comfort. You were built for conquest. You were not born merely to pay bills and die, you were born to carve meaning into the stone of time. You were born to leave an imprint so deep that history itself pauses and remembers. Understand this, success does not come to those who wait politely in line. Success comes to those who knock the door down when opportunity refuses to open it. Success comes to those who rise at dawn, bleeding determination, when the rest of the world still sleeps. Success comes to those who say, I will not stop. I will not bend. I will not accept less than the full measure of the life I was created to live. The mind is the battlefield. Every doubt, every whisper of fear, every shadow of hesitation, these are enemies that must be confronted daily. You cannot negotiate with them. You cannot reason with them. You must drive them out with the blade of decision. Because once a decision is made, and backed with unwavering belief, the world begins to rearrange itself to honor it. That is why clarity is power. Without clarity, your demands are nothing but noise. But with clarity, with a vision so sharp it cuts through distraction, your mind becomes a weapon. You begin to see paths where others see walls. You begin to march when others freeze in hesitation. You begin to attract the resources, the people, the circumstances that align with your burning demand. So write the vision. Etch it into the deepest parts of your mind. Do not leave it vague, do not let it be a cloud floating aimlessly. Define it with the precision of a sculptor chiseling marble. Ask yourself, must my life stand for? What must I build, become, create before the final breath leaves my body? And then demand it. Not with arrogance, not with entitlement, but with the unshakable resolve that says, this is not optional. This is who I am becoming. Because you do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. And what you are is determined by the standard you demand of yourself every single day. Clarity ignites belief. And belief is the oxygen of achievement. Without it, the flame of ambition suffocates. With it, the impossible becomes inevitable. Think of Henry Ford. When the world laughed at his dream of an automobile for the common man, when even his own engineers swore the V8 engine could not be built, Ford refused to bow to their doubts. He demanded it. He said, build it anyway. And they failed. And he said again, build it anyway. They failed again. But belief does not collapse under the weight of failure. Belief sharpens with resistance. And eventually, the impossible machine roared to life, not because it was easy, but because one man's demand refused to bend to the world's disbelief. Belief is contagious. It seeps into your posture, your voice, your energy. It becomes the silent language that tells the world, I am unshakable. And people, whether they know it or not, are drawn to that fire. Opportunities orbit those who radiate certainty. Doors swing open for those who carry the weight of conviction. But belief alone is not enough. For belief without discipline is like a sword left to rust, it holds potential, but never cuts. Discipline is the bridge between vision and reality. It is the quiet, relentless force that transforms demand into destiny. Discipline is waking up when your bed seduces you to stay. Discipline is writing when inspiration is nowhere to be found. Discipline is choosing the grind over the excuse, the future over the fleeting comfort of now. Every legend, every empire, every fortune was built brick by brick through discipline. Carnegie did not rise from a poor Scottish immigrant boy to the steel king of America by accident. His days were a testament to discipline, hours of study, years of strategy, endless moments of sacrifice. His empire was not given, it was carved out of time itself with the chisel of discipline. Discipline is freedom. Freedom from the chains of regret. Freedom from the tyranny of what if. Freedom from the mediocrity that traps those who never pay the price. The undisciplined man may enjoy comfort today, but tomorrow he wakes enslaved to his own neglect. The disciplined man suffers today, but tomorrow he commands the rewards of his sacrifice. And understand this, life will test your demand. It will not roll over and hand you treasures because you whispered a desire. It will slam doors in your face, strip you of your excuses, and hurl storms into your path. Not because it is cruel, but because it must know, are you serious? Are you committed? Are you willing to bleed for the vision you claim to hold? Every setback is a question, do you truly demand this, or was it just a wish? And how you respond writes your destiny. Disney faced bankruptcy, betrayal, and ridicule before his dream of a magical kingdom took form. His first animation company collapsed. He slept on floors, ate beans from a can, faced rejection after rejection. But he did not stop. He did not say, maybe this dream is too much. He demanded it. And today, millions walk through the gates of his vision, living proof that life eventually bows to relentless resolve. Resilience is the crown of the disciplined. It is the fire that refuses to go out, even when the storm rages. Resilience does not deny pain. It embraces it, uses it, transforms it into fuel. Edison's 1,000 failures were not proof of his inadequacy, they were proof of his resilience. Each one said, I will not stop. I will not surrender. The world does not break the resilient. The world refines them. And in that refinement, they become weapons of destiny. So when you fall, and you will, do not waste energy cursing the ground. Rise. Rise again, because each rise is a declaration to the universe, you cannot defeat me. You cannot outlast me. I demand more. Gratitude is the hidden twin of resilience. For while resilience keeps you moving through storms, gratitude gives you sight when the darkness blinds you. Gratitude says, yes, the path is hard, but I am alive. Yes, the mountain is steep, but my legs are strong. Yes, the vision feels distant, but I have the breath to take the next step. Do not confuse gratitude with complacency. Gratitude does not say, this is enough. Gratitude says, this is fuel. It keeps the heart rich even when the pockets are empty. It reminds you that even in scarcity, you possess the most powerful resource of all, your will. The man who can find gratitude in hardship cannot be broken, for he sees every difficulty as a teacher. He sees failure not as a coffin, but as a classroom. He sees delay not as denial, but as preparation. Gratitude transforms the bitter into nourishment, the wound into wisdom, the setback into strength. And when you combine clarity with belief, discipline with resilience, and gratitude with vision, you become unstoppable. You become the architect of your own empire, the commander of your own fate. This is the law: you become what you demand of yourself. Demand belief, and you will find it. Demand discipline, and you will grow it. Demand resilience, and you will embody it. Demand greatness, and though the world may laugh, resist, and test you, eventually it will bow. Because life always delivers to the man or woman who refuses to accept less. The world is shaped by those who act. Not by those who wait for inspiration, not by those who analyze endlessly, not by those who pray for perfect timing. It bends to those who move, who step forward even when the path is fogged with uncertainty. Action is the great divider. Between the dreamers and the doers, between the wishers and the winners, between those who talk of what could be and those who show the world what will be. Think of Alexander Graham Bell, obsessed with the idea of transmitting voice across wires. Others called it fantasy, yet while they mocked, he moved. He sketched, he tested, he built, he failed, and he tried again. And when sound finally traveled through copper and current, he etched his name into history. Not because he waited for permission, but because he acted. Action is how you tell the universe, I am serious. Faith without action is nothing but a ghost, unseen, unheard, unremembered. But faith combined with action becomes flesh, becomes invention, becomes history. Do not wait for perfect conditions. There will never be a perfect time, never a flawless alignment of circumstances. The rain will fall, the critics will shout, the resources will seem too small. Move anyway. Build anyway. Begin anyway. For in beginning, the conditions bend to your momentum. A man who waits for certainty will die waiting. But a man who steps forward in uncertainty forces certainty to reveal itself. Action is the seed, and persistence is the water. Without persistence, the seed dries, the soil cracks, and the vision withers. But with persistence unyielding, tireless persistence, even the smallest seed splits stone, even the most fragile root becomes a tree. Abraham Lincoln once said, I walk slowly, but I never walk backward. That is persistence. The refusal to retreat, the refusal to allow delay to become defeat. He lost elections, lost businesses, lost loved ones, but he never lost his step forward. And that step, repeated through storms, carried him to the highest office in the land and the immortal pages of history. This is the rhythm of greatness, step after step, strike after strike, demand after demand. Progress may be slow, but persistence makes it inevitable. And yet, persistence without adaptability becomes stubbornness. To demand greatness of yourself is not to be blind. It is to see clearly, to adjust wisely, to adapt swiftly. The oak tree may be strong, but in the hurricane it is the reed that bends which survives. Adaptability is not weakness, it is strength refined by wisdom. It is the recognition that the path to destiny is rarely straight. The road twists, the obstacles change, the seasons shift. Those who demand greatness adjust their sails when the winds turn, but they never abandon the voyage. Consider Thomas Edison again, not only in his pursuit of light, but in his empire of inventions. When one approach failed, he did not collapse. He adjusted, shifted, modified. Adaptability was his silent partner. And so, over 1,000 patents bear his name, not because he clung to one rigid path, but because he danced with reality until it yielded. The rigid man breaks. The adaptable man endures. And endurance is the mark of those who carve history. But endurance alone does not light the fire. For a life of greatness is not only about grinding forward, it is about purpose. Purpose is the compass in the storm, the flame that burns when all else is dark. Without it, effort becomes empty. Without it, success itself becomes hollow. Purpose is not found in comfort. It is found in calling. It is the echo in your soul that says, "I was born for more." It is the whisper that refuses to be silenced, the vision that stalks you in your sleep, the ache that gnaws at you when you settle for less. Carnegie's purpose was not steel, it was to build a legacy of giving, of libraries and learning, of lifting humanity. Ford's purpose was not machines, it was freedom of movement for the common man. Lincoln's purpose was not politics, it was the preservation of a nation's soul. Purpose turns labor into mission, struggle into meaning, pain into power. You may have talent. You may have resources. You may even have luck. But without purpose, these are empty vessels. Purpose is the electricity that animates them, the current that drives them forward into destiny. Ask yourself, why do I rise each morning? Why must I fight? Why must I build? If your answer is shallow, your strength will be shallow. If your answer is deep, your strength will be bottomless. For the man who knows his purpose cannot be bribed by comfort, cannot be silenced by critics, cannot be broken by failure. He is possessed by a mission larger than himself. And such men bend the arc of history. So sharpen your purpose. Clarify it, demand it, let it burn within you until every excuse turns to ash. For when your purpose is clear, your path, though steep, becomes unshakable. Purpose without courage is only a dream. And courage, true courage, is not the absence of fear, it is mastery over it. Every man and woman who has ever etched their name into history trembled at times, felt the icy grip of doubt, stared into the abyss of uncertainty. The difference was not that they felt no fear, but that they demanded of themselves the strength to move forward anyway. Fear is the guardian at the gates of greatness. It stands between the life you have and the life you demand. Most retreat when they meet it. They see the flames and turn back, seeking safer paths. But those who rise to greatness walk through fire. They carry the scars as proof that fear is not a wall but a doorway. Consider Roosevelt, frail and sickly as a child, his body weak, his lungs fragile. Fear could have dictated his life. But he demanded strength of himself. He rebuilt his body, trained in the harsh outdoors, fought through illness, and forged the spirit that would one day lead a nation. Courage was not gifted to him, it was demanded, cultivated, earned. Fear is a liar. It whispers that you are not ready, not worthy, not capable. But courage answers, "I will go anyway." And in that act, fear withers. Each courageous step weakens its hold until what once seemed impossible becomes second nature. Do not seek a life without fear. Seek a life where fear becomes fuel. For the man who can convert fear into fire becomes unstoppable. But courage alone must be married to vision. For courage without vision is like fire without direction, it burns, but it does not build. Vision is what turns raw courage into a force of creation. Vision is the art of seeing what does not yet exist and treating it as inevitable. Walt Disney looked at swampland in Florida and saw castles, parades, laughter, generations of joy. Where others saw mud and mosquitoes, he saw magic. Vision is not bound by what is, it is bound by what can be. But vision alone is fragile unless it is written, structured, demanded daily. A vision hidden in the fog of the mind drifts away. A vision carved in words, rehearsed in action, embodied in discipline, this vision becomes destiny. Write it. Speak it. See it until it sears itself into your imagination so deeply that your mind cannot distinguish between dream and reality. For once the mind accepts a vision as truth, the body begins to move, the habits begin to shift, the people begin to appear, and the resources begin to align. This is no magic trick, it is the law of focus. Whatever you focus on expands. Whatever you water grows. Whatever you demand of yourself, day after day, becomes the mold that shapes your life. Demand laziness, and you will carve mediocrity. Demand excuses, and you will carve regret. Demand greatness, and though the sculpting will be brutal, though the blows of the chisel will hurt, what emerges will be nothing less than a masterpiece. And remember this: greatness is not an act, it is a habit. Not a single strike of brilliance, but the accumulation of disciplined choices. 1,000 unseen efforts, 1,000 quiet sacrifices, 1,000 moments where you said, "I will keep going," when every part of you wanted to quit. This is why most never taste greatness. They want the crown without the cross, the reward without the requirement. They want success to be delivered like a gift, when in truth it is forged like steel, in the furnace of effort and persistence. Abraham Lincoln, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Andrew Carnegie, Walt Disney, none of them lived lives free of struggle. In fact, their lives were rivers of it. But each one demanded of themselves to rise above, to bend reality, to keep striking until the iron glowed and the world could no longer deny their fire. And so must you. Because the standard you set for yourself becomes the ceiling of your life. If you demand nothing, you will get nothing. If you demand little, you will live little. But if you demand everything, if you demand greatness, meaning mastery, then though the climb will be steep, the heights will be glorious. Do not ask if it will be easy. It will not. Do not ask if it will be quick. It will not. Ask only this: am I willing to demand enough of myself that even the impossible must yield? For in the end, greatness does not belong to the gifted. It belongs to the relentless. To the men and women who look at their reflection and declare, "This is not enough. I was made for more." Greatness has a price, and most will not pay it. They want the reward without the sacrifice, the recognition without the grind, the harvest without the sowing. But life is not mocked. It will not give what has not been earned. The farmer cannot demand a crop without planting seeds, without tilling the soil, without braving the seasons. The athlete cannot demand victory without bleeding through training, without stretching past the limits of his body, without demanding discipline when no one is watching. The leader cannot demand loyalty without first earning trust, without serving, without carrying burdens heavier than those he leads. The law is simple: you cannot withdraw where you have not deposited. You cannot reap where you have not sown. And you cannot demand greatness from life until you have first demanded it of yourself. This is why mediocrity is so crowded: it is cheap. It costs nothing but excuses, comfort, and wasted time. But greatness, true greatness, costs everything. It demands your sweat, your focus, your hours, your very soul. And yet, though the price is steep, the reward is beyond calculation. Think of those who came before us. Carnegie gave away more than 90% of his fortune because he believed that wealth without contribution was poverty in disguise. Lincoln carried a nation through civil war, knowing that his own life would likely be the sacrifice required to preserve freedom. Edison worked through the nights, eyes burning from exhaustion, because he believed the world needed light. Each paid in pain, in time, in struggle. But what they purchased was immortality. Their names echo because they demanded everything of themselves and gave it. Do not envy the man who lives easily. His life may look soft now, but in time, regret will harden his heart. Envy the man who lives with purpose, who rises when weary, who pays the price daily, for his reward is freedom. Freedom to look at the mirror without shame. Freedom to walk the earth knowing he lived, truly lived, not as a spectator, but as a player in the grand arena of destiny. The arena is not kind. It is filled with critics, doubters, enemies. They will laugh, they will slander, they will call you foolish. But understand, they mock not because you are wrong, but because your courage reminds them of their own cowardice. Ignore them. The crowd has never lifted a champion to victory, it is the champion who silences the crowd. Do not waste your breath defending your dream. Build it, and it will defend itself. Edison did not argue with skeptics, he lit the world. Ford did not debate with critics, he put the common man behind the wheel. Disney did not persuade his doubters. He built castles out of swamps. Silence them with results. Silence them with persistence. Silence them with the undeniable reality that your demand became destiny. And know this, the road will test not only your strength, but your integrity. For what is the value of success gained by corruption? What is the value of a crown won by betrayal? History remembers names, yes, but it does not honor all of them. The tyrant may rise, but his fall is inevitable. The deceiver may prosper, but his legacy rots. Demand honesty of yourself. Demand integrity. For success without soul is failure disguised as triumph. But when you climb with clean hands, with honor in your heart, the summit becomes not only yours but an inheritance for all who follow after you. Legacy is not built in words, it is built in demands. What you demand of yourself echoes far beyond your life. A father's discipline becomes a child's example. A mother's resilience becomes a family's strength. A leader's vision becomes a nation's foundation. This is why your demands matter. Not only for you, but for generations yet unborn. The standard you set becomes the soil they grow in. If you demand weakness, they will inherit chains. If you demand strength, they will inherit wings. Do not think small. Do not think only of yourself. Think of the echo. Think of the generations that will walk the path you carve. Think of the child yet unborn who will whisper your name with gratitude because you demanded more when it was hardest to do so. This is the weight of greatness. It is not about comfort, it is about consequence. Not about pleasure, it is about permanence. Not about what you take, but about what you leave. And when the weight feels too heavy, when the burden feels unbearable, remember this: the greater the demand, the greater the power it awakens within you. Life does not place mountains in your path to crush you, but to reveal the strength you never knew you carried. For inside you is more than you realize. Strength untested, courage undiscovered, resilience unbroken. And it only awakens when you demand it. One day, the clock will stop. The hands will freeze. The breath will leave your lungs, and the world will move on without you. On that day, there will be no more time to demand, no more days to strive, no more moments to choose. Only one question will remain: did you live as much as you could? Did you demand enough of yourself? For wealth will fade, titles will rust, buildings will crumble, but the echo of your demands will remain. The echo of your courage, your persistence, your sacrifice, your purpose. That echo becomes your legacy, your invisible monument carved into the souls of those you touched. And so I ask you, with the weight of eternity pressing in, what will your echo be? Will it be a whisper of regret, or a roar of triumph? Will it be the sigh of a life wasted in fear, or the thunder of a life that shook mountains? Do not settle. Do not shrink. Do not hand your destiny over to chance. Demand it. Demand it with every fiber of your being. Demand it when you are weary. Demand it when you are strong. Demand it in silence. Demand it in storms. Demand it until the world itself bends under the weight of your conviction. Remember, you were not born ordinary. Ordinary is learned. Ordinary is inherited from the fears of others. Ordinary is accepted when you lower your standards. But greatness, that is your birthright. You are the descendant of survivors, of conquerors, of dreamers who crossed oceans, who fought wars, who built nations out of wilderness. Their blood flows in you. Their fire waits in you. And it will awaken the moment you demand it. Life will not hand you greatness on a silver platter. It will hide it behind hardship, disguise it as failure, bury it beneath trials. And only those willing to dig, to sweat, to bleed will unearth it. But when you do, when your hands finally grasp the treasure, you will know it was never about what you achieved, but about what you became in the process. Because to demand greatness is to be transformed. The timid become bold. The doubtful become believers. The weak become warriors. The ordinary become legends. So demand of yourself to rise earlier, to work harder, to focus sharper. Demand the courage to speak when your voice shakes. Demand the discipline to keep going when your body begs to quit. Demand the humility to learn, the resilience to endure, the vision to create. Demand the strength to carry not only your own dreams, but to lift others with you. And when the world tells you to be realistic, when it tells you to settle, when it calls you foolish for wanting more, smile. For history's giants were all called foolish at first. The dreamers are always mocked, until the dream becomes real. The builders are always doubted, until the tower stands. The fighters are always underestimated, until the victory is won. Then the same voices that doubted will ask how you did it. And you will answer not with words, but with your life. I demanded it of myself, and I refused to quit. Understand this: the fire inside you is greater than the storm around you. The light within you is brighter than the shadows before you. The strength you have yet to uncover is deeper than the trials you fear. But it will remain hidden until you demand it to rise. Do not wait. Do not postpone your destiny to tomorrow. Tomorrow is not promised. The only guarantee is the moment in your hands now. And what you demand of yourself in this moment will ripple into every tomorrow that follows. Stand tall. Lift your eyes. Clench your fists if you must, but do not bow. Declare it with every heartbeat: I will not live small. I will not die average. I will demand everything I was created for, and I will claim it. For in the end, this truth remains unshakable, eternal, carved into the laws of life itself. You do not become what you wish for. You do not become what you hope for. You become what you demand of yourself. So demand greatness. Demand resilience. Demand purpose. Demand life at its fullest. And let the echo of your demand become the thunder that shakes the ages.